The automotive battery market has transformed into a psychological battlefield where numbers are weapons used against the uninitiated. When you see a label promising 750 cold cranking amps, you assume that is what you are getting for your hard-earned money. However, the gap between that printed sticker and the actual electrical output can be as wide as 100 to 150 amps. This discrepancy is the industry's dirty little secret, a silent tax on your safety and your schedule. Retailers rarely mention these shortcomings because their margins depend on your ignorance and your desperation. We are living in an era where the brand on the casing matters less than the hidden corners cut during the manufacturing process. Our first offender is a name often synonymous with value and trust, Kirkland Signature, sold through the massive aisles of Costco. While their olive oil and paper towels might be world-class, their automotive batteries have become a source of mounting frustration. Many users find themselves trapped in a cycle of replacement every 12 to 24 months, far short of the promised 5-year lifespan. The culprit is a lack of consistent quality control among the various contract manufacturers who supply these units. You might get a hero one day and a total dud the next, effectively turning your engine bay into a high-stakes gambling hall. It is a classic case of a brand name being stretched too thin across a product line it does not truly master. If Kirkland is a gamble, then Econocraft from AutoZone is a desperate plea for mercy. Positioned as the ultimate budget option for those in a financial pinch, these batteries are the epitome of planned obsolescence. The manufacturer offers a laughable 3-month warranty, which is essentially a formal admission that they do not expect the product to survive a single season. Inside these units, the lead plates are shaved down to the thickness of a whisper, providing almost no reserve capacity for modern electronics. Choosing an Econocraft battery is like putting a band-aid on a broken leg. It might look like a solution for an hour, but it will eventually cost you triple in towing fees. You are not buying a battery here. You are merely renting a temporary start for a very high price. Moving up the price ladder does not always guarantee you a seat in the VIP section of reliability. Take the Duralast Platinum AGM, a premium offering from AutoZone that commands a significant financial premium over its peers. While it boasts impressive specs on paper, the real-world performance is plagued by a frustrating lottery effect. Because these high-end units are often produced in the same massive factories as the budget brands, the assembly line variations are staggering. Some drivers report years of flawless service, while others experience total internal failure within just a few weeks of purchase. It is a bitter pill to swallow when you pay top dollar for what turns out to be a high-priced coin flip. The story continues with Autocraft batteries, the primary house brand found at Advance Auto Parts. These units are frequently criticized for their inability to handle the repetitive stress of deep winter starts. Owners often report that after just 1,000 miles or a single year of use, the battery's ability to hold a charge evaporates. The secret villain here is the reduction in plate surface area, a cost-cutting measure that cripples the battery's chemical endurance. In the pursuit of lower production costs, the manufacturer has sacrificed the very reserve capacity needed to keep your headlights bright and your computer system stable. It is a recurring nightmare for the budget-conscious consumer who ends up spending more on replacements than they would have on a quality unit. To understand why this happens, we must look at the industry trick number 1, which is the deceptive confusion between cranking amps and cold cranking amps. Manufacturers love to highlight the cranking amps rating because it is measured at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, a temperature where chemistry is much more cooperative. This number is typically 20 to 30% higher than the true cold cranking amps measured at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. By placing the larger number in bold, neon colors, they trick the casual buyer into thinking they are getting a powerhouse. In reality, they are selling you a summer athlete who will collapse the moment the first snowflake hits the pavement. It is a calculated linguistic shell game designed to inflate perceived value while hiding technical weakness. If the cranking amps trick is a shell game, then peak amps marketing is a full-blown fairy tale. This tactic is most prevalent in the world of jump starters and portable power packs, where numbers like 2,000 or 3,000 amps are thrown around. These figures are often purely theoretical, calculated based on a millisecond of discharge that could never actually turn an engine. It is the equivalent of a sprinter claiming they can run 100 miles an hour because they moved their leg once during a fall. Furthermore, these products often utilize poorly regulated lithium cells that pose a genuine fire risk if they are pushed to these imaginary limits. When a company sells you peak amps, They are selling you a dream that will leave you in the dark when the nightmare begins. Now, let us turn our attention to the Superstart lithium batteries found at O'Reilly Auto Parts, specifically their motorcycle and powersports line. There have been serious allegations regarding the internal construction of these units, specifically the use of pouch cells instead of prismatic cells. In the world of high-performance batteries, pouch cells are the cheap, fragile cousins that are prone to swelling and mechanical failure. Marketing materials may lead you to believe you are buying rugged, military-grade technology, but a look under the hood reveals a much flimsier reality. When these pouch cells fail, they don't just stop working, they can expand and damage the very vehicle they were meant to power. This is not just underperformance, it is a failure of engineering integrity that borders on the predatory. Even the legendary Everstart brand from Walmart has seen its crown rust in recent years. There was a time, perhaps around 2008 or 2010, when an Everstart Max was considered the gold standard of value. They were heavy, durable, and backed by warranties that the company actually honored without an interrogation. However, the tide has turned as manufacturing contracts shifted and warranty periods were quietly slashed. Modern Everstart units often struggle to reach the 3-year mark, reflecting a broader industry trend of treating batteries as disposable commodities rather than long-term investments. Because the same 3 or 4 mega factories produce almost every brand we have discussed, you are often just choosing the color of the plastic. The question we must ask is why these massive tech companies and retailers act in such a blatantly anti-consumer fashion. The answer is found in the cold, hard logic of the 3-year replacement cycle. If a manufacturer builds a battery that lasts 7 years, they have effectively killed their own future sales for nearly a decade. By engineering products that fail just after the warranty expires, they ensure a steady stream of victims returning to the store in a state of emergency. You, the driver, are the victim of an economic model that prioritizes turnover and shelf space efficiency over lead-acid excellence. They count on the fact that when your car won't start, you won't have the time to research, you will simply buy whatever is on the shelf. But you do not have to be a helpless pawn in their corporate chess game. The first step to surviving this market is to ignore the flashy marketing and focus on the manufacturing date. A battery that has sat on a retail shelf for 6 months has already begun to crystallize and lose its life force. Always look for a circular sticker with a letter and a number, such as a 4 for January 2024. If the battery is older than 3 months, leave it on the shelf and demand a fresh one. This simple act of due diligence can add 2 years to the life of your vehicle as electrical system and keep your wallet from bleeding unnecessarily. Next, you must become a student of independent testing rather than a believer in brand loyalty. Organizations that do not accept advertising dollars from battery manufacturers are your only true allies in this fight. They perform the brutal load tests that reveal which batteries are champions and which are merely hollow shells. You will often find that a mid-range battery with a high reserve capacity rating is a far better investment than a premium battery with high peak amps. Reserve capacity is the measure of how long the battery can run your car's vital systems if the alternator fails. It is the true insurance policy for your engine, yet it is the one specification manufacturers try hardest to hide. Warranty length is another crucial piece of the puzzle, but you must read the fine print with a magnifying glass. A 5-year warranty that is prorated after the first year is essentially useless, as it offers you only a tiny discount on your next failure. Look for free replacement periods of at least 3 years, which signals that the manufacturer has at least some skin in the game. If they aren't willing to bet on their product for 36 months, why should you bet your morning commute on it? The warranty is the only honest thing a company says about its product because it represents a direct legal liability to their bottom line. Finally, consider the environment in which you live before you make your final selection. If you live in the scorching heat of the South, you need a battery designed for high-temperature durability, not just cold-cranking amps. Heat is the silent killer of lead-acid chemistry, evaporating the electrolyte and warping the internal plates. Conversely, if you are in the North, the CCA rating is your lifeline, and you should aim for a rating that exceeds your vehicle's requirements by at least 20%. This buffer ensures that as the battery naturally degrades over time, it still has enough muscle to get you through a polar vortex in 2026 and beyond. As we wrap up this journey through the dark heart of the battery industry, remember that knowledge is the only thing that prevents you from being a victim. We have seen how brands like Kirkland and Everstart have drifted from their roots, and how marketing terms like peak amps are used to shroud technical mediocrity. The modern consumer is often viewed by these corporations as a battery-buying unit, rather than a human being with a job to get to and a family to protect. By demanding transparency and refusing to buy into the hype, you are reclaiming your power in a world that wants to keep you in the dark. Take a moment today to pop your hood and look at the date on your current battery. Is it a ticking time bomb, or is it a reliable partner that you have properly vetted? Do not wait for the first frost of 2025 to find out that you were sold a lie. If this deep dive into the automotive underworld has helped you understand the game, I invite you to join our community. Your support allows us to continue exposing the villains and protecting the victims of corporate greed. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss a chance to arm yourself with the truth.